Hello, everybody. So we had some technical difficulties when we did our detox workshop for you guys live at Shields. So we are refilming it today so that we can get it posted on YouTube for you. So we're going to just go through it the same as we did live. So we're talking all about detoxing and how to minimize those toxins as much as possible. We are getting exposed to over 700,000 toxins every single day. We're just getting bombarded from every direction. It's in our food, our water, our air, our clothes, everything. And so it is impossible to completely eliminate toxins from your life unless you go out in the middle of the woods and live naked and afraid style. I'm not even kidding. That's the only way. Even then, you might still be exposed to toxins. I don't know. In the air, maybe. Who knows? But that's why we say the goal is to minimize those toxins. So don't drive yourself crazy trying to completely eliminate. We're going to go through a bunch of different ways that you can achieve that goal of minimizing those toxins in different areas of life. So yeah, we're going to get into it. But before we go through those areas, I want to talk to you a little bit of why we want to reduce those toxins as much as possible. And the first thing to understand is that toxins are fat soluble. So what this means is that once they enter our system, our body, they are stored in our fat. And depending on your lifestyle, that means those toxins are going to stay there for potentially years. And so it's really important to live a whole lifestyle, a whole healthy lifestyle, and looking at everything when it comes to toxins, because that's going to help you minimize them the best by just simply doing these other good things for your life. And that takes those toxins out. And so that's the first thing to understand. The next thing to understand is that the dose makes the poison. And what this means is, if you take one toxin, so let's take deodorant, for example, if you take one toxic product and you use that deodorant every single day for your entire life, ultimately, at the end of the day, is that toxin going to affect your body? Probably not, because it's one source, right? And we do have built-in barriers and detoxification mechanisms with our kidneys and our liver to get those toxins out. We reduce we expel toxins with sweating and exercise, things like that. So we have built-in mechanisms to get those toxins out. So ultimately, one toxic product is not going to be the end of the world. However, like I said before, we are getting bombarded from every single area of life. And so it's not just one toxin. It's in our skincare products, it's in our food, it's in the air, the water. And so we're getting toxins from every single direction. And it's the combination of those constantly bombarding our system that makes the poison. And so again, minimizing is the goal here. Okay. So with those two things understood, the next thing to understand is the warning signs that our body puts off. When we start getting overloaded with toxins, we get warning signs. Our body's going to tell us, hey, something's not right. I need help. And it's a little different for everyone. We see it anywhere from weight gain, fatigue, skin problems, mood swings. It's all over the place, because what toxins do, like one of the big problems that they come with is they affect our body's ability to regulate hormones correctly, our ability to lose weight. Really, they can affect every single system of our body, just depending on what that toxin is. And so our bodies show it in many different ways. So again, listening to your body, understanding what's going on, and trying to live healthy in all different areas of life is going to help this immensely. So with that, like I said, we're going to go through a bunch of different areas where most commonly we see those toxins. We're going to start with, I believe, cleaners here in a second, and Caddy's going to take it away.
All right. So cleaners are one of the areas that you're going to find some of the most toxins in. The U.S. does not regulate the ingredient labels when it comes to cleaners. And so basically, companies can throw whatever they want into these cleaners and they don't have to label it for you, which makes it a little bit scary. They have done different kind of studies on lots of different cleaners and things like that, and just the things that they have found, some of the statistics of cancer-causing products, asthma-inducing products, is pretty remarkable. And so nearly 40% of the products that were a part of this study contained allergy and skin allergy inducing preservatives. About 75% of cleaning products contained ingredients that were linked to respiratory health issues, especially the ones you spray in the air. Those can get into the air and we end up breathing them. Those can wreak havoc in our bodies. 20% of these products contained ingredients that were associated with developmental, endocrine, and reproductive harm as well. 70% listed ingredients under perfume or fragrances, which are all synthetic, all chemically based, that were risked to or linked to reproductive as well as developmental harm as well. So 25% contain ingredients that linked to cancer, including formaldehyde. We're seeing all kinds of these chemicals. Some of them are linked to leukemia, anemia, and bone marrow damage as well. And so cleaners are some things that we need to just pay super close attention to and check our labels. The next one here is disinfectants. A lot of disinfectants, especially with 2020, you guys, it's all about wash your hands, disinfect. Disinfectants are kind of an issue for a lot of reasons, but number one, simple soap and water is going to kill pretty much 99% of bacteria. And so when they add disinfectants into soaps and things like that, what they're doing is basically a cocktail of ingredients that are killing, yes, the bad things, but it's also killing off the microbiome of your skin and your hands. And it's kind of created this overly clean environment, if you will, which is reducing our body's ability to actually build up antibodies against these diseases and sicknesses and things like that. And so if I can wash my hands with soap and water and kill bad bacteria without killing the healthy bacteria on my hands, I'm actually able to keep my immune system healthy. We're able to keep those healthy bacteria flowing. And so that is a huge something that we just need to be aware of. We can remove the cocktail of chemicals that are linked to all those cancers and things like that. Some of them are even neurotoxins, which is pretty scary. So if you think about the fact that 70 to 80% of our immune cells begin in our gut, and when we are constantly overly disinfecting and killing off that healthy bacteria, it can just wreak havoc. So it says on the slide here, fragrances and colors are also things that are just linked to those cancers, so many things that are the leukemias, like I was talking about, leukemia and the neurotoxins, endocrine inhibitors, which is basically our hormones. These things are causing our bodies to not produce properly. And so disinfectants is another thing that we need to be aware of here. So let's talk solutions. So action steps. So make your own cleaners and detergents. There are so many recipes. I mean, you can hop on Instagram, you can hop on Google, and you can type in clean cleaners, how to make your own cleaners. You can invest in microcloths. We partner with Norwex. So Norwex whole vision is to help families improve their quality of life by reducing chemicals in their home. And so they use microfiber cloths that have silver infused in them, which help kill bacteria. And you use water and a rag and you're washing things down. I switched to microfiber cloths like years ago, and it has removed so many chemicals from my home, and I just feel so much better when I'm cleaning that way. You can buy eco-friendly cleaners. One of the things here is to look for companies that disclose their ingredients on their labels, or they are really they're okay with talking about their sourcing and how they get their ingredients and production and manufacturing and things like that. So you can look at labels and companies like that. You can also diffuse essential oils in your home. That helps with the fragrance. Instead of having a wall plug-in, those things we buy at Bath and Body Works, you plug them in and it makes our house smell good. Those are loaded with really bad toxins, chemical causing agents, things like that. And diffuse essential oils instead. Obviously, we need to be careful with what serves our body and what doesn't. So do your research on companies. Make sure you're getting pure oils that are manufactured properly. Another thing you can do is open your windows and use fans. We're so used to having air conditioning or heating or whatever. I think sometimes we forget that just fresh air actually brings a lot of cleanliness as well to our homes. So let's talk about skincare and cosmetics. So cleaners are a big one. Skincare and cosmetics are probably the number one way that, especially as women, we are receiving bad chemicals, all kinds of things. The skin is the largest organ of your body. And sometimes we don't realize that. We don't always think about our skin as an organ. But whatever goes on our skin is actually absorbed into our bloodstream. Some people say even up to 30 seconds of putting something on your skin, it's absorbed into your bloodstream. Our skin is not wallpaper. We don't just paint it and make it look pretty. It actually is a living, breathing organ. And it's actually our first line of defense when it comes to our immune system. So what we put on our face, think about, especially those of you women, what are you doing the first thing you wake up in the morning? You are grabbing that face wash. And if you look at that ingredient label on your face wash, you're going to have a whole paragraph of words that you most likely can't pronounce. But odds are good that you'll pronounce the first or second ingredient, which is usually water. And basically, water is very telling in a product. If it has water in it, you know that it also has preservatives, emulsifiers, and stabilizers, which usually are very toxic in a product. And so that is a really simple way right out the gate to tell if that product has other things in it. There is a marketing tactic out there called greenwashing. This is basically where companies will change their labels. They will change their packaging so that the product looks green. It looks like it's clean, basically. It might be brown or have some flowers, or maybe it's green in the labeling. And you go, oh, this looks like a nice product. And reality is they've basically just fooled you by your visual, or maybe even they've changed some of the language on there so the product looks better than it actually is. So we want to be aware of that. There are some apps that we love. We've talked about before. We actually have a challenge group on our Facebook page where we've gone through some of these things to give you guys more tips and tricks here. But there are some apps. There's an app called Think Dirty. The EWG, the Environmental Working Group, also has an app where you can go in and you can scan some of these products and see whether the ingredients are toxic or not. But let me just give you some ideas here. So the EWG did a study on a whole bunch of different makeups. It's like 49 different face makeup items. And what they found is that 90% contained lead, 90% contained beryllium, 61% contained thallium. I never say that one right. 51% contained cadmium, and 20% contained arsenic. Guys, these are heavy metals and toxins that are going straight into our body, literally wreaking havoc on the inside. And so this is not even talking about the ones that are linked to cancer. There are just lists and lists and lists, which those apps are going to be super helpful for with that. So let's see, let's look at some solutions here. So I said the Think Dirty app, ewg.org also has an app, which is pretty awesome. Check for water in your products. Hands down, the first way to know, super easy. Buy handcrafted or cleaner brands. We've talked about handcrafted skincare here in our office a little bit. We've partnered a little bit with a brand that I represent that has completely handmade items. They're fantastic. 13 years of thousands of testimonies of people that have been able to use 100% clean, but also effective products as well to remove so many of those chemicals that are going into our skin. So like I said, with the Norwex, this one, we have some other vendors as well that we'll talk about in a minute. You can always just pop in our office and ask about those. Just to give more context to some of those vendors, because we want to partner with those clean companies that are actually going to serve you guys in your bodies. So buy handcrafted or cleaner brands, check labels, and be aware of greenwashing. Again, products, especially makeup products, if they are willing to source their ingredients, where they get their ingredients from, that is a huge yes. We want that. Products that are going, or companies that are like, well, we don't really want to talk about where we get our products. That is kind of like a, well, what are you hiding kind of thing. So you want to find those companies that are going to be open-handed about manufacturing processes as well as ingredient sourcing. Okay. So the next one here, we're going to talk about cookware. So Teflon. How many of you guys have heard of Teflon? How many of you love to cook? Yes.
To cook with it.
I know.
I was just saying I heard of it.
Yeah. We love the ease of nonstick, right? It's so much easier than having, scraping off the food and then you have to clean the pan. And so we have this whole thing called nonstick. Basically, nonstick cookware was this huge deal. And because it's coated in something called Teflon, it's kind of toxic. And so boo on that, because we like the nonstick element. However, Teflon was basically created in the 1930s, and the way it was created used a certain chemical, PTFE, and that is something that they've actually banned in I think it was like 2013. They banned it because they got so many complaints about sickness and cancers and all kinds of things. So then they replaced that with another chemical to produce Teflon and to produce this nonstick. But then people are still going, yeah, but I don't know that that's fully safe either. And so the thing with Teflon is that if you cook it at lower temperatures, it's going to be okay. But when we're cooking on a stovetop, we can reach temperatures even up to like 500-600 degrees, which
higher. So on that challenge page, if you guys have seen that one, the post I did this week, it was all on kitchenware, and I looked at the temperatures for a normal kitchen stove, and for a coil stove, the small burner can easily, on the highest setting, it can easily reach 900 plus degrees, and Teflon is only stable under 500.
Yeah.
So you're easily breaking that number with your stove.
Right. So what happens when you hit those high temperatures is that it basically gets into the air and into your food. And the things that can lead to is, chest tightness, shortness of breath, headaches, coughing, chills, sore throat, all kinds of things like that. So we want to kind of stay away from Teflon as much as we can. So let's move on here. So what do we do as our solution? The other thing I wanted to say about cookware is aluminum. A lot of pots and pans are aluminum. So you want to be able to find a pan that's more stainless steel versus aluminum. Okay, so what is our solution? Use stainless steel pans, cast iron pans. There we go. A lot of that chemical I was talking about that is in that PTFE, that is in that nonstick, is also in a lot of things like popcorn bags. And so I talked about here, pop your own popcorn. A lot of the wraps and things that we use for our food is that chemical is in there as well. So if you do need to use nonstick, make sure you use it at a lower temperature. And do your research, guys. Research your pots and pans. Research what you're using to cook your food in. I love my cast iron skillet. I use it every single day. And you get a little bit of iron in it. Just like with a nonstick, you get a little Teflon in your food. We don't want that. But with a little iron,
iron's good.
You get a little iron.
A little iron's fine.
Iron's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about microplastics. Ew, who knows what microplastics are? So microplastics are basically tiny particles of plastic that have come off, like so small you can't even see them. Like they're micro. You need a microscope to see them. They've either like leached off of plastic containers, or they've just come off in some way out into the air. So these can be found in storage containers, even surgical masks. In one literature review, they calculated the amount of plastic that the average person consumes, and they estimated that it is about 1,769 plastic particles from tap water every single day. That is absolutely terrifying. So basically, we don't want to eat plastic because that's going to hurt us. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we bring this up because a lot of times we store things in plastic. We use Tupperware, we use saran wrap, we use all of the products that are plastic. And so we don't want to do that. So here are some solutions. Instead of using saran wrap, use smart parchment paper or reusable food wraps made with beeswax. You guys, you can literally hop on Instagram and type in beeswax wraps, and you will get a handful of companies that actually create wraps made of beeswax, and they're reusable. And so you're not rebuying and rebuying and rebuying. You're using good products that are healthy for your food, and you're not having to keep rebuying it. So tree resin is another one that you could use as well, things that are lined with that tree resin. Use glass storage containers instead of plastics and Tupperware. They have found these microplastics in carpets. They are finding them even in, all over our bodies right now. So dusting and vacuuming frequently is also super important. The other thing you can do is use stainless steel lunch boxes. You can hop on Amazon and get stainless steel lunch boxes for your kiddos, stainless steel water bottles and straws. Yeah. So those are some good solutions there for that. And now we're going to talk about air quality because goodness, we want to breathe good things.
So Caddy mentioned we're getting fragrances, we're getting microplastics, dust, so many things in our air. And when people think of toxins in the air, they probably think of things that don't necessarily smell good. So car exhaust, gas fumes, factory fumes, all sorts of different things, smoke. But we don't really think about those good smelling things. We don't think about air fresheners that plug in the walls or scented candles, perfumes, colognes. These are probably actually some of the more common toxins that can be found in our home. And with that, it's actually making our home, I believe it's 5 times more toxic than the air inside our home, 5 times more toxic than the air outside because of just all of the different fragrances and things that we have going on constantly. And so it's a big issue because those oils from those air fresheners, it gets into our lungs, it lines our intestines, and it just does not allow those systems to work the way that they're supposed to. And if, as you guys know, things aren't functioning correctly, then they start to go downhill, and then we start to get those warning signs, and then we have aches and pains, and we're gaining weight, all of these warning signs that we're constantly talking about. And so we need things to function properly in our body in order to actually be healthy. And so what can we do about that? For our solutions for this is investing in an air filter for your home. I don't have a specific one for you. It just kind of depends what your price point is, how big the area that you want that air filter for, that standalone fan. So do your research on this, kind of figure out what your price point is, figure out what's good for you and your family. Other things that sometimes people don't think about is having your entire air duct system in your house cleaned out every 2 to 3 years, and then making sure that you're changing the filter on that system every 3 months. So if you don't know where your filter is for your air system, Step one is go find it. Step two, change it every 3 months, and that's going to help filter out those dust and those microplastics from getting into your air. And then using things like Hattie said, like opening up the windows, letting fresh air in, using things like beeswax candles if you want those nice smells with essential oils. There we go. With essential oils, or you can boil a pot of water with things like cinnamon sticks or oranges or other good smelling herbs that you like. Get some fresh flowers for the house. Again, this one kind of depends on, like, people have allergies. Fresh flowers aren't going to work for everyone. Essential oils might not work for everyone, but there's a couple different things that you guys can try to eliminate those air fresheners and just have a healthier air environment inside your home. And then the next big one is water. Sorry, our format got weird apparently. So yes, again, so many things are getting into our water. So there's an estimated over 84,000 chemicals found in our tap water. It includes pesticides, chlorine, VOCs, and so many more things. Like, you can't even imagine how many. On average, we are exposed to 25 gallons of water every single day. And it's like Hattie said, our skin is our first line of defense. Theoretically, it can block about 75% of things that come at us. However, that means 25% is still getting in very quickly. And so whatever we can do to help reduce the toxin in the water is fantastic. So for this, it is a little bit more on the spendier side, but considering a shower filter, because specifically for the shower, because when we get in the shower, I like hot showers. I don't know about you. I like hot shower. When that water heats up, it creates steam. And now we're not only getting that water on our skin, but we're breathing in those little microparticles of water as well. And so it's getting into our lungs. So having a shower filter, or better yet, a whole house filtration system. You can also get a filtration system just for your sink in your house. So like the big ones are trying to filter your drinking water, obviously, and then the shower with the whole house if you're able to do that. Again, do your research, figure out what works for you, your family, and what works best for you. With that shower, along with the breathing, everything, and just one more point I wanted to make is a 15-minute hot shower is equivalent to drinking 8 cups of toxic water. So just to give you an idea of like how much you're actually inhaling during that time. So again, whatever you can do to filter that water and make it a little cleaner, it's going to go a long way for your health. And then next one is food. So when it comes to starting a detoxing your home and body process, I always recommend starting with food for 2 reasons. First reason is we're constantly reestablishing our food in our house. Like, we're replacing that every single week, whereas like bathroom products or cleaning products, maybe that's like once a month we're replacing it. And that's the way that you should go about replacing products, is as you finish one product that you want to replace with a cleaner one, replace it as you finish it. Don't go home and just clean everything out and start from scratch, because that's going to be a lot of money. You're going to drive yourself crazy and you will not be successful. So do it slowly replace products as you need to. So again, that's why I say start with food, because you're constantly replacing your food every single week and a half or so. And then the other big one is by choosing healthier, non-toxic food products, you're going to be choosing healthier foods in general, which is great for your nutrition and your body as a whole. So you're really hitting 2 birds with 1 stone when it comes to those different essentials of health by starting with your food and finding non-toxic products. But these toxins include things like preservatives, artificial sweeteners, the colors, just make things look nice, refined oils, genetically modified foods. And so really the easiest way to go about this is to buy organic. When it comes to buying organic, The next easiest way to do this is to know your clean 15 and your dirty dozen. What this is, and you can find this on the EWG website, they constantly update it, and it's going to give you the dirty dozen, which is actually more than a dozen foods now. So make sure you go on and get the updated one, because I believe this list should include peppers and blueberries. So these are the foods that you want to buy organic when possible. And it's because they are sprayed the most, they don't have as thick of a skin on them, and so they're going to get more toxins in their system. And so buying organic, you're going to, again, reduce that exposure to those toxins and those pesticides and herbicides and things like that. And so use this list to your advantage. If it's not on this list, then you're okay to not buy it organic. If you want to buy everything organic, go for it. This is just an easy, hey, I'm getting apples today, I'm going to buy those organic, and then the rest of my stuff, I'm not getting organic. And so use this list to your advantage, but you're just looking for whole foods that haven't been processed, clean, easy, simple, not in a box, basically, as much as possible. Like, stick to the outer rim of the store. That's where you find the non-processed whole foods. And yeah, that's really the easiest way to go about it. And then the other thing to consider when it comes to food, so specifically your fish, is a term called toxic bioaccumulation. And so what this means is, as you go up the food chain, your food is going to get more and more toxic. So if you start with a little tiny fish, it's just eating, it's whatever it eats, it's algae, it's little fish food on the bottom of the ocean or whatever. So it's absorbing whatever toxins from the water and from those little bits of food that it's eating. And then you get a bigger fish that comes along and it eats that fish plus 10 other of its buddies. And so now that bigger fish has consumed all the toxins from that fish, plus those 10 other fish, plus whatever toxins it's absorbing itself from the water. And then it just keeps going like that. So the higher up the food chain, the more toxic a fish is going to be. And so when it comes to fish, you want to look for small, cold water, fresh caught, not farmed fish. Yep. That's the easiest way to go about it. Yeah. And so now we're going to move on to mineral depletion and soil.
Yep. Oh. Absolutely.
That's
okay. That's me. So basically, over time with modern farming techniques, basically what has happened is we have depleted our soil and our minerals, or the minerals and the nutrients in our soil that our food grows in. And so there are basically, our soil, when it's treated and stewarded well, it's going to replenish itself. There are actually grassroots movements all over the internet right now, like Back to Eden gardening, and there's a whole bunch of different things that are kind of springing up now, and we're seeing a lot more of this on the online, because people are realizing that the way that our general farming in America has been done has been led to this depletion of the soil, which means that the food that we buy in our grocery stores is depleted also of our nutrients. And so that leaves massive gaps when it comes to our nutrition. And not only is the soil depleted, most crops out there are sprayed with tons of chemicals to keep bugs away, to keep diseases and pests away. And so they do pesticides and they do herbicides, and they spray these toxic chemicals on the foods so that they are growing better. But then what that does is we buy the foods that's loaded with all these chemicals, and it actually keeps us from growing better. We actually grow backwards. And so so being aware of this is the number one thing, to realize that we have nutritional gaps in our food. What a tomato would give our body 100 years ago, it's not going to be giving our body that today. Because of what's been happening in the farming industry. And so that leads us to supplements. We want to supplement with things that are going to be healthy for our bodies because of those gaps. However, there is a ton of corruption in the supplement industry. And so that leads us to the question of, are our supplements toxic? Okay. So what do we do? Back in 2017, I believe it was, there was an underground sting operation in New York. And basically what they did is they went in and they just surveyed all the supplement companies that were producing these massive, these big bulk supplements. And what they found is tons and tons of corruption. There was lying on labels. And what I mean by that is, you might have a product that says blueberries, blueberries are in this product, and you're going, awesome. But really what has happened is that they took the blueberries, they boiled the blueberries, they stripped it basically of all of the nutrients until it's this, white paste, if you will. And then they put it into the supplement, and they say there's blueberries in it. And then maybe they add a chemical based version of whatever it was that blueberries was supposed to supplement. And so what we're seeing is that a ton of labels are pretty much lying. They're saying what something's in it and it's not in it. And so what happened in this operation is they ended up shutting down like 80% of these companies because there was so much corruption going on in there. It was for lying on labels, and also for what was the second one? They were for lying on labels and for cleanliness. That was the second one. They found rat hairs in these. I mean, just gross things. Okay. So what do we look for in a supplement? Not the bad stuff. We don't want rat hairs. Okay. We want good things. So number one, we want no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, and no additives. Okay. We want actual products. They want to add so many extra things in there, and then they put there's all these other things on the labels, but we want actual food, okay, to be supplementing our body. So we want supplements that are going to be closest to its natural form. We want what's called bioavailable ingredients. So bioavailable means our bodies know what to do with it. They actually look at that ingredient and they go, oh, I recognize that, and they put it into action, and it does what it says it's going to do. Okay. So what we love about Max Living, kind of that banner company that we have over Freedom, like that kind of chiropractic banner, we get to offer some of their products, which are going to be super clean. Okay. Their formulations are created with purpose and care, backed by research to ensure nutritional quality and efficacy. Supplements are manufactured in the U.S. to the highest industry standards in state-of-art facilities that are GMP certified. That means they have good manufacturing practices, FDA registered, which is the Food and Drug Administration, and NSF certified, which means they've been third-party tested. Okay, so our supplements contain no artificial sweeteners. They're 100% GMO-free, gluten-free. They have that strength and purity guarantee. Basically, they're going to do what they say they're going to do. So we have the Max Living brand and also the Designs for Health that we have in our office. These are just going to be those high quality supplements that are going to do what they say they're going to do. So we are highlighting the detox system for this workshop, obviously, because we're talking about detoxing. So we want to give you guys some practicals as far as what to put in your body to help rid some of those toxins that might already be in our body. So this is a 2-part system. Basically, we suggest that you do it for about 2 months. And then maybe a couple times a year after that, just kind of get your body started there. We've also partnered with an incredible company called Hydration Wellness Bar, and they offer some other detox as well. They talk about hydration. They have like a vitamin, basically pushing nutrients into your body that's going to help push the bad stuff out, as well as hydration, which is going to be amazing. So again, like I said before, talk to us in our office if you want to get hooked up with them, because they're going to help on more of a systematic level, more of a continuation of detox. But this detox system here, like I said, is a 2-part system. The first part is kind of the whole body detox. It's got ingredients like peppermint and peppermint leaf and fennel seeds, ginger root, It's going to kind of get your body naturally eliminating toxins. And then the second part is a cell detox. So this one has probiotics. It's got chlorella in it, milk thistle, spirulina, a lot of just incredible other ingredients just to get your cells full of nutrients, and just we detox and then we put amazing stuff back in. The body detox also has that activated charcoal, which is really cool because it kind of takes all the toxins and locks them together and just helps you eliminate. And then that cell is going to help build your immune system to be fighting that stuff as well. The next thing here is a metal bind. Like I read those statistics about the metals in the makeup. We have so many metals in our bodies. This is something that was brand new to me when I really started digging into detox. I had no idea that heavy metals could actually just live and be affecting your body, which is pretty powerful. So we want to get them out. So this is another product that we can get for you guys. It's called Metal Bind. It supports heavy metal detoxification. It boosts that antioxidant status, revitalizes energy levels, and enhances that mental clarity when we get those toxins out, those heavy metals out. So now let's talk about toxic negativity. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Mostly in our minds. So I'm not sure what happened to our slides here. They're kind of sitting a little bit funny, but toxic negativity is basically you can fuel your mood. You can fuel your outlook on life by your mind, basically. I mean, yes, there is that huge component of your body, but our minds are incredibly powerful. There's a doctor, her name is Dr. Caroline Leaf, and she talks about negative thoughts and speaking negative words over yourself, over somebody else. And basically what it does to your brain is it creates these toxic trees in your brain of neurons, basically, that begin to formulate a lot of the way that you live your life. And so if you are giving yourself to a negative mindset, it's literally toxic to your brain. A lot of times we don't realize that the thoughts we think about ourselves actually become who we are, and the things that we speak over people can cause them to believe those things. And it's one thing to go, oh, well, I just hurt someone's feelings or I said something bad. But what we don't realize is, according to our bodies, it actually creates neurotoxins in our body that develop toxic behaviors, toxic belief systems that actually bring make our bodies toxic, not just our minds. And so it works together. So how do we do this to remove these things? Well, here's some simple ways. If you can read through that slide there, maybe you guys are seeing it clearly. It might just be funny for us. But removing stress is a huge way to help change that mindset, to live in more of a positive mindset. Guys, get off social media. Don't live on your social media. There are the statistics of teen suicides, of teen just hating themselves and moving into adulthood. Those statistics have risen significantly since social media has become.
There's a lawsuit right now happening with Instagram and Facebook saying that they aren't doing anything about the fact that social media is causing, kids to look at themselves in a bad light, and depression and body image and all that type of stuff. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
It's a big deal. So limit yourself. It's one thing to limit your kids. You have to, but I think sometimes as adults we go, oh, well, I don't need to limit myself. And then you realize you're in this whole world of comparison and this whole world of negative thoughts. We're like, man, her kitchen is perfect. I wish mine could be like that. Or man, their family looks amazing. I wish mine could be. And all of a sudden you're building these negative toxic neurons in your brain, and you begin to kind of live out of that perspective. And so limit social media, you guys. Fast from the news. Don't watch the news every day. I think it's vitally important to stay updated with the news, but it doesn't have to run your life, okay? Say no. Learn how to say no to invitations. You don't have to be busy all the time. It's okay to have that. I mean, it's absolutely necessary to have that rest time where we say no. Go on a family adventure and don't take your phone. Get an old-fashioned camera if you have to take phones, or turn your Wi-Fi off and just use it as a camera. It's important to prioritize family dinners if you can. No phones. Again, have a weekly family meeting and check in. How is everybody doing? How are you guys managing stress? Stress comes at us from every single level of life, but never talking about it can build that toxic just in us. But having that ability to talk and just be like, I don't know, like this has been bothering me. And we speak positive in the midst of expressing negative feelings and emotions will help a ton. Journaling is a great way to do that. Sometimes you can't talk, but you can journal. If you can write out your thoughts, you will feel so much better than if you just kept it inside. Even if that means write it down and throw it in a fire, like you just need to get it out. It just helps. Have a date night with your spouse, whoever you're dating, take your kids out, have time for yourself, for each other. It's a huge deal. I would say self-care is a big one here. It's not on the slide, but take a bath every once in a while. Go window shopping if you have to, just go out and enjoy a park, go on a walk around the park, just get out. Prioritizing downtime. Again, that's that rest, that time of relaxation, just kind of reconnecting, remembering who you are, remembering why you love your family. A lot of times we can just be like, rah! And we just need that time to just be like, oh yeah, this is why I love them, take the time. Detoxing your mind. I'll just read this quote. It's not about technology being the existential threat. It's technology's ability to bring out the worst in society, and the worst in society being the existential threat. Again, if social media is a huge example, the news is probably a better example. All they're talking about is what's happening out there, and we just take it in and we're like, and we got to get rid of that stuff. We need to actually take captive our thoughts and learn to control our minds.
One of my favorite ways to de-stress is to exercise. It is a fantastic de-stressor. And it's very, very important for that detox system. Like I mentioned earlier, sweating gets those toxins out. And so when we sweat specifically, it's releasing things like BPA and PCB. There we go. And it's also going to be burning that fat. And like I said, toxins are fat soluble and they are stored in your fat. Obviously, it is vitally important for all of us to have some percentage of fat on our body in order for hormones and other systems in our body to work correctly. However, if you're working out, burning that fat, kind of removing fat and then restoring fat, you're eliminating that toxin and where it can be stored in your body. And so get up. Try and get up every single day. Go for a walk. It doesn't have to be a hard workout every single day. Recovery time is very important, but like go out, go for walks like Caddy said. Get a little bit of a sweat on.
Guys, we live in the front range of the Rocky Mountains. So go for a hike.
Go mountain biking.
Take in the beauty.
Go for a hike. We posted about a month or two ago now the 7-minute workout. Like it's 7 minutes of your life. And there are stages for like beginner and intermediate and advanced. So there's no excuse not to be able to do it. You can just move. That's whatever that looks like for you. It doesn't matter what it looks like for Caddy. It doesn't matter what it looks like for me. Just whatever that looks like for you. Get out, get moving, get a little sweat on, burn some toxins out of your system. It's going to make you feel so much better. So, and then ultimately, when it comes down to it, like I mentioned earlier, function. That's really what it comes down to, is your body's ability to function. And when we function at 100%, that is what health is. And so we need to have a good balance of all of these things that we have talked about in order to have that health and that function. But ultimately, the nervous system is king. That's what is going to control everything. When we did this at the workshop, I did a fun little, I don't know if it's fun, but I did a little like exercise here that gets you thinking about what's actually vitally important for life. And so for basic life to be had, you need water, you need air, and you need food, right? So how long can we go without food before we die, Caddy?
Probably about
3 weeks.
3
3
weeks. So
weeks.
let's say 40 days is like the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah, it's about 3 weeks before we can no longer live without food, okay? And then the next one down is going to be water. How long can we go without water? 3 days. So in that logic, water is more important than food. And then the next one is air. How long can we live without air?
A few seconds. Well, few more than a few seconds.
How long can you hold your breath?
Not very long.
Okay.
More than a few seconds.
If you're really good at holding your breath, then
I think 18 minutes was like the top. But that was like some crazy guy in a tank on TV.
For normal people, maybe a minute. If you're really, really good at holding your breath, maybe like 2 to 3, maybe. And then you're dead. Like maybe you have to breathe.
8 minutes.
Okay, that sounds a little more reasonable. Either way. So we have food, we have water, we have air. But like I said, ultimately that nervous system is king, and that's going to control everything. If we cut the nervous system, just cut it right in half, instantly down, done, can't do anything. And so without that, you can't do anything. Doesn't matter how much food, water, air you have, you're gone. And so that's why it's so vitally important to take care of that nervous system. And that's what we do. And that's what we teach you guys every single day here in the office. If you are watching this and you have not been to our office and you have not taken a look at your nervous system to see how it's functioning, and you feel like your body is holding you back and toxins are holding you back or lifestyle is holding you back, honestly, when it comes down to it, is your nervous system functioning first? Great, it is. Then we need to do this next. If it's not functioning, okay, we need to take care of this and get it functioning, get that fight and flight and rest and digest systems, those two halves of our nervous system functioning correctly so that we are not constantly living in a fight or flight mode, which is what happens when we are under stress, whether it's physical stress, emotional stress, toxic stress. We go into that fight or flight mode, and then nothing else is functioning. If we are in fight or flight, we are not healing. We are not digesting our food properly. We are not moving in our workouts properly. We're not recovering from our workouts properly. And so it's vitally important to make sure that nervous system is functioning at 100% to allow everything else to function at 100%. So again, if you feel like you've never, your body's holding you back in some way, call our office, have an exam done, and we'll let you know where you're at and what your next steps are. You just have to reach out to us. So yes, nervous system. I skipped some slides. I'm sorry. And so again, those action steps, just overall, we have lots of vendors or lots of partners that can help with your detox journey. So you just have to let us know who you want to talk to, how you get in touch with them. If you want more resources, we have tons of it. You just have to ask the questions. Shout out to Norwex and Herbal Academy, Herbal Alchemy. I always call it Herbal Academy. I'm sorry.
Herbal Alchemy.
Herbal Alchemy. And then Hydration and Wellness Bar. They were awesome at our workshop, and they will continue to serve you guys forever and always. So let us know what you guys need and how we can help you moving forward. Set some goals, start detoxing your home and body, and we will catch you at the next workshop.